planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid is Belinda Waymouth. Belinda, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, all you mad coffee drinkers. How are you?
Yes, the crowd is coffee and tea, whatever it is. We like a hot beverage in our hand.
Yes,
or a cold beverage.
I'm a teetotaler. I'm all about the tea.
Tea is really, that's, Courtney does tea. She loves the tea, and they've got great tea. They have special bags and all the things that they send when you order the tea from Coachella Valley. Anyway, okay. I know the news is desperately bad out of Hawaii. I know these extreme weather events are part of a constellation of things that we see coming together that may reflect much of what we talked about with the climate crisis. There is good news. And, you know, when you first started your relationship with us, and we've had you on regularly, you were focusing on good news. And I still think you do focus on good news. But I mean, the bad, desperate news crowds out the good news often. I'm wondering, at minimum, I want you to get to the good news, because you sent me some good news out of the Philippines. And yes. I wonder if you, maybe we can start there and we'll work back to some of the, getting back to this country where the news isn't so good.
Yes. Well, what L'Oreal just announced this week for the Philippines is amazing, because what they're pledging to do is actually 5 times more impressive than what the Philippines, I'm always talking about this thing, EPR, extended producer responsibility, meaning that if you're the company that makes all the plastic packaging that then becomes plastic waste, you have to be responsible for its recycling. You can't just hand that over to the consumer and municipalities, and particularly not in these island and ocean nations, the Philippines, Indonesia, all these places where we've been sending our recycling. They don't have robust waste management. They can't deal with their own plastic trash. So for us to think that they can, recycle and should be responsible for our waste, absolutely no way. We need to keep it onshore, all our own plastic here. But L'Oreal is an amazing company because they've been very concerned about this for a long time. And they're huge. They're Maybelline, they're Kiehl's, they're all these other, have all these other smaller companies underneath them. But their move, I just have to say, classy, completely classy. So Philippines EPR Act of 2020 was asking for corporations to make sure that 20% of their waste, that they were going to reduce, 20% of their waste by this year, by 2023, and then go down 10% every year to, a total of 80%, reduction. And L'Oreal just announced at the beginning of the week, we're not going to do 20%. We're going to go for 100% this year.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So, that's their photo. And of course, they're not being covered by the mainstream media because it would be giving them free advertising. But I got a newsletter about it, and I was just like, this is fantastic. By 2025, 100% of all their plastic packaging will be refillable, reusable, recyclable, or compostable. And they're already doing a thing where in the Philippines, because of this extended producer responsibility and having it be this circular model where you're not putting waste into the environment, they're using recyclable plastic that is recycled with enzymes, not with chemicals. They've reduced the amount of weight in their plastic packaging. Like, why do you need to have this great big thick bottle for shampoo when it would work just as well and not be flimsy with half the volume of plastic? Their cardboard, they've reduced that. They're making sure that it's sourced from, ethical forests. I mean, I would love it if it all came from recycled paper and it was brown. But, the fact is they are saying we're going to only use, sustainably forests, produced paper. they're also not laminating their cardboard anymore. Now, as soon as you put a layer of laminate on cardboard, basically that's a layer of plastic. It's not recyclable. So they're really raising the bar and really showing what a corporation, a big, international, multinational company can do when it wants to do the right thing by the planet. I think it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. And as you say, they're a big multinational corporation. And so we're used to big multinational corporations having their way with the planet without consequence, buying and selling politicians and decision makers. And here you have, as you suggested, an immense company that's doing the right thing. And so we cut back to New Jersey.
Oh, we have to go there already.
I'm sorry, but that's the yin and the yang of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this story out of New Jersey, it's so disheartening because 3 years ago, when Ørsted, who's this Danish multinational, first arrived in New Jersey 3 years ago to say, hey, we've got this offshore wind project, Ocean Wind 1. They were, warmly welcomed because they were going to be creating hundreds of jobs. And, New Jersey is a blue state and they are committed to reducing their emissions by 80% by 2050. And these offshore wind projects, this Ocean Wind 1 is sort of the first, and then there are, 4 others that are, slated. And Biden, by the way, signed off on Ocean Wind 1, just last month, just July. But since
that's something you should just say. That's the largest federal offshore wind project to get approval, presidential approval. So it's it's huge.
Yes, because he, when the thing that he said, when he came into the Oval Office, we had, I still can't believe this number, Mark. We had 7, less than 10 offshore wind turbines, and he straight away said, we're going to increase that to 1,400. And a lot of them right now are happening on the East Coast. But what happened was, first of all, this town, Ocean City was like, which is, touted as being America's greatest family resort. I think that annually, their actual population, I think, is less than 100,000. They get 10 million visitors a year. So
we used to go there every summer as a family. Grew up in Washington, D.C., and that was it, going to the beach at Ocean City. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so, tourism and the coastline, super, super important to them. One of the things that I really want our listeners to know, that off the bat, New Jersey is having double the rate of sea level rise than anywhere else in the world right now. So to protect that coastline and their tourism industry, you would think that they would be embracing the renewable energy. But, if for a blue state, this is a very red, little enclave. And what's happened is it's gone completely political. And now there's this huge opposition that's happening there. It's mounted by this local group, Protect Our Coasts, New Jersey. And, they are enormous. They're going to be 15 miles offshore. There's talk of having them further out there. But what this group, which is local citizens, and they've got, hundreds of thousands of, people signing on, saying, we don't want this. But the fact is that they are being funded and schooled in talking points by these dark money, anti-renewable energy, pro-fossil fuel groups, one of them being the Caesar Rodney Institute. And so now you've got local people out there claiming that the wind turbines are going to kill whales. There is absolutely no marine scientist, no scientific research that says that this is true, that any of the noise coming from them can do that. So everyone is saying they're going to kill the whales, and they've got this incredibly well-funded legal fight in place against Ocean World 1. Their plan, part of the plan for their strategy is they want this to be a blueprint for other groups to fight offshore wind. And, it's crazy when you let these other groups come in and really influence you with their propaganda against a project that's actually going to help with the sustainability that you need for your coastline to be the profitable, money-making place that it is, and to get, this incredible amount of tourists. I mean, once your beaches disappear under the sea, that's, going to go away. So they're saying things like, the wind turbines are going to be super visible. They've got these doctored photographs showing the wind turbines as more visible than they are.
Harry Joe Jim Bob is asking, and just to this point, how far offshore are the wind farms within eyesight? The answer is no, they're 15 miles offshore is what I saw. Maybe Belinda has
15
more.
miles, so you're not going to see them. They've also got the slide that Ørsted, this Danish company, has been given permission. I mean, they don't say by whom, to kill hundreds of marine animals. Well, that's not true. I mean, the amount of sort of red tape that these renewable projects have to go through to get greenlit is
Right.
It's huge. And then one of their lawyers, this one was the one that really I sort of I couldn't believe. So one of their lawyers is even claiming that there's going to be no cut in emissions when millions of homes are being supplied with renewable energy from this offshore wind project, even though all the maths so far shows that it's going to be a 7.2 million metric tons reduction, per year in emissions. He did his own math and came up with actually, no cut in emissions. So
essentially, the community has sort of bought the BS that has accompanied this dark money campaign, and they actually there's a huge legal campaign as well, because they need additional approval in New Jersey, don't they? I mean, they got the federal approval, but they need additional approval that's being contested. That's what you're talking about when you say it's a blueprint for the future. I mean, future protests. I mean, against it.
Yes. That you first of all, you mount a grassroots effort with local people saying, you're going to destroy the beauty of our coastline. You're going to kill our whales. It's going to be terrible, terrible, terrible. And then the talking points that they're getting, I mean, they're just wrong. And we have these think tanks, these fossil fuel, profit-based think tanks that are doing everything they can to fight these renewable energy projects. And, as we keep saying, I bleat on about it nonstop, but, this is go time. This is when we need to really seriously be reducing our emissions, which we're not doing. I mean, look at these fires in Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii used to be, this dense, lush, tropical, rainforest that didn't burn. And now there are droughts. You've got invasive species grasses, which, burn. You've also got, because of the drought, the vegetation on the Hawaiian Islands drying out and burning. And last night it was 6 people dead. And then we wake up this morning and it's 36 people dead. And, there's one story of a man who sort of said to his wife, okay, we've got to get out. Let's jump in the truck. And, he wanted to stay and save his building. And by the time they were in the truck, they turned around, his business was already on fire. I mean, people were running into the ocean to save themselves and being rescued by the Coast Guard. It's bleak and terrible, and it's almost incomprehensible that all of these things are happening and that we're not just having this massive pivot and embrace of renewables. I mean, this year, the production of oil in the US is going to beat all records. It's going to be 12.8 million barrels per day. That is higher than the record of 2019 when Trump was our president. Saudi Arabia, just for comparison, they're at 10 million barrels a day. We're going to be 12.8 million barrels a day, under a Democratic president who cares about the environment. I mean, we are not moving fast enough. And I can't say that often enough.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I agree with you. I just think there's an all-you-can-eat quality to our policies, and I think there's even a greater stubbornness on the part of other nations to give in at all to a strong environmental movement and to get away and, essentially accelerate the transition from fossil fuels. I mean, I think it's just a very important thing to do. I say all you can eat, meaning at the same time that the Biden administration, as you've heard Biden speak, I think passionately and aggressively about green energy, he also okays a bunch of drilling in pristine land. So I'm not completely, I'm a tree hugger. So for me, I really want zero additional development in that area on dirty energy. But that said, I think that there are ways to transition off of it, and it's an existential threat. So anyway, I love having you on because it lets me make speeches like that one, Belinda. I really do. I do appreciate that story though, because it is. I think it's hidden in the pages of so much of what's going on. The fact
the story
that,
out of the Philippines.
Yeah, the story out of the Philippines is terrific, and it's completely hidden. And I just posted it to my Twitter feed. And I think even the Jersey story about how Ocean City, they approved this wind thing. It's all talked about. But now look at how all this dark money is derailing it. I started this show with the derailment of the transit bills that were going to regulate the way toxic energy is transported, literally leading to a derailment where the lack of regulations in that Palestine, Ohio, and other examples. And so you really see the power of money. And it's a very, it's a saddening thing, but it's a fact. But I love that that L'Oreal is taking the first steps, and maybe there are some good corporate citizens like L'Oreal that will help lead the way.
Well, you know what's also really important about that L'Oreal story is that, that is happening because the Filipino government put in place the framework and said, we are going for extended producer responsibility. I mean, I don't know if you've been to any of the beaches in that part of the world. I was in Indonesia a few years ago, and actually, we were there to document the plastic pollution. And I mean, it's unbelievable. You go to, the island where the Komodo dragons are, and everyone's talking about, oh, we're going to go see Komodo dragons. Well, the first thing you see is a beach absolutely covered in plastic. You're in this gorgeous part of the planet, and the beaches are covered in plastic. It's washing by you in the ocean. And, I'm a surfer, so I see more and more plastic trash, particularly in the summer when I'm in the ocean. And, but to go back to, the Philippine, their government put in place, this policy because they want to end plastic pollution. And we can do the same with renewables. There is a blueprint we should be following, not these people who are fighting, wind turbines off the shore of the Jersey coast. That's just insanity.
You can find her on social media across all the platforms at Belinda Waymouth, Waymouth, and you can find her here on Thursdays with It's the Planet Stupid. Belinda, thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
More.
It's the planet stupid. No. It's the planet stupid.
Next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.